Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ayunda Rizky Rohmah. I am the member of C class, and now I would like to analyze the story with the title The Open Window, and the writers is Seki or Munro. This is the analysis. Nah, first I would like to analysis from the plot. There are 5 types, and the first is introduction. Well, in introduction, I know that Mr. Natal come to a village in search of nerve healing. So, in introduction, the writer show us that there is someone who came to the village for search something for healing her illness. And then the second is in rising action. In rising action, I take the types when starting with the reason about why is the window being wide open. So there is a dialogue between Mr. Nuttall and the little girl. The little girl asked to the Mr. Nuttall about do he knows why the window are open wider. Nah, that is the rising action. And then the climax, when Mrs. Stapleton explained that the window had a closer relationship with the accident 3 years ago. So, before this, the story tells about the someone who asked to the Mr. Nuttall. So now, in the climax, the Mr. Stapleton talk about the accident happened 3 years ago. So here is the climax. It means that when the story happened. And then the anticlimax is when they talk like something bad have never happened. So in anticlimax there is not in a up, but the story have their way. And then in the ending, or we can call it as conclusion, they look at the window and hallucinated as if 3 missing men had returned home. So in the ending, they are like hoping something, but they know that there is nothing happen. And then the point of view, I think the point of view is the author as the third person omniscient. Why? Because here the authors are know the story, but the authors not in the story. So we can call it as the third person omniscient. And then the characters, there are 3 characters. The first is Frampton Nettle, and he is dynamic. Why he is dynamic? Because in that story, he are not have the same characters from the starting. He is at the story until the end, but he became rounded. And then the second is Mrs. Stapleton. She is statist. And the last is Vera. Vera is statist too. Why the Mrs. Stapleton and Vera are statists? Because they are have the same characters, not the same characters. They are not have the changes at the characters along the stories. And then we run to the setting. There are 3 parts. The first is place, the second is time, and the third is condition. For the place, there are house and in a village. And then the time is an October afternoon. And the last is condition. It means that there are awful, scary, sad, hopeless. There are something happen in the story or the feeling. And then we run to the symbol. There are two symbols. The first is window and the second is dog. Why window and dog? Because window is the show the condition of waiting someone. At the story, the authors say that not say the authors give a clue that the woman waiting someone by looking up to the window. So I think that the symbol is the window. Why is the window? Because the condition of waiting someone, and we know that waiting of someone and we look to the one thing. Nah, that is the symbol. And then the second is dog. The dog is thinks that there is something horror, or sometimes that the dogs are the sensitive thing, so the dog can be the symbol. And then the theme. The theme, I think that someone who is faithful in wait, despite knowing that the person who is in the future may not be back. Why I talk like this? Because the story tells about someone who are in her waiting time, but she knows that someone that she waits will never come back. So I write the theme was like this. And then the literary elements. There are two elements. The first is metaphor and the second is irony. The first is a metaphor. I got it from the dialogue that say I expect it was a panel. Nah, it means that it shows something. And then the second is irony. I hope Farah has been amusing you. Nah, at the condition, of course, that Farah didn't amusing someone, but she asked, I hope that Farah has amusing you. Nah, that is the irony, I think. And then the formulate opinions. Of course that I have agree with the authors. Why? Because in a real life, sometimes people who are left without ever coming back will definitely wait for their arrivals even though it takes years. I think that when we wait someone, so we will not have forget them in a what's that? We can wait them. We can forget them in a short time, but we need a long time. But in the story, the woman waiting someone until 3 years. Why she wait someone until 3 years? Because she didn't got the what's that? Didn't got the fact that the three men are tied literally, but when she think like as a human thinking, of course that if there are person who are not back until long years, it means that maybe they are tied or they have something happen like an accident. Because in that story, the story tells us whether if the three men go to the hunter. Nah, of course that if we go hunter, so maybe something happened there. If we think like a human thinking, we think that that's not impossible if they back with a health condition, because yeah, we know that they live in a village, and of course that if they have uh, did something, maybe they tried because of something or the others, or because of the um, animals, wild animals maybe. So I agree, because not people have forgot someone in a short period, and sometimes not same with the story, but if we know that we lose someone in our life, of course that we don't let them go away, but we will wait them back, and we hope that every time they will back to us, they will come to our life, and they will do something like usual. So uh, that's my that's my reason why I agree with the authors. And then make connection to anything, I think that the characters change by the conflict because of the tragedy. Why I talk like this? Because the first is the women uh, are not waiting at the first time, but after have the tragedy, so she waits her love to back to home. And then um, that's change the characters. And then uh, we know that from the story, uh, the characters always looking up to the wide window that always opened wider in October. So that's the window uh, talk the symbol as the tragedy. And I think the character changed by the conflict, and then the conflict is the tragedy. And yeah, I think that's all. Thank you for your kind attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.